Welcome to Concerned Citizens Presents. Concerned Citizens of Laguna Woods is an organization dedicated to peace, economic and social justice, good government, and a clean environment. Every month, we invite an expert to enlighten us on a topic related to our mission. Because Village TV videotapes these presentations, we can share that expertise with a larger audience. We hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
I'm the Vice President of Concerned Citizens and your MC today. I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us as we continue a legacy of commemorating International Peace Day. In today's program, we're going to touch on some history, some current affairs, have a few sing-alongs, and then we're going to hear from some very talented performers. Okay, let's start with some history. 44 years ago, residents of this village formed Concerned Citizens for Peace. It was 1981. The United States and the Soviet Union were locked in an escalating nuclear arms race. And those Concerned Citizens Club founders actually feared nuclear annihilation was imminent. That year, 1981, the doomsday clock, the metaphorical doomsday clock, was set at 4 minutes to midnight, signaling how close we were to destroying our world. Today, many more countries have nuclear weapons. And every day, we hear about the human cost of intense conflicts all over the globe. We hear nuclear saber rattling, famine and unrest on almost every continent of the globe. And right here at home, an inhumane and immoral assault on civil rights, racial and gender injustice, staggering political divisiveness, rising temperatures, and unregulated technologies. Everywhere I look, I see folks that are sad, angry, overwhelmed. This year, the hands of the doomsday clock are not set at 4 minutes to midnight. They're 89 seconds to 12. 1.5 minutes away, the closest to midnight ever. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Our world continues to be in disarray. But disarray does not mean despair. The founders of Concerned Citizens for Peace, they didn't despair. They acted. They protested the proliferation of nuclear weapons. They rallied at the San Onofre power plant. They feigned death as they lay on the city's sidewalk, demanding social justice. They welcomed prominent social scientists. They planted peace poles. And they held Peace Day tributes like the one here today. They had a voice, and they used it. We too, we all have a voice, and you will hear from several of them today. In this community, right here, in this very room, where we share more in our morals and our values than in our differences, where we cherish our freedom and our democracy, every one of us has a role to play. And we can do it. We can speak up against the rising extremism, the violence, the bigotry, inequality. We can practice respect for one another, see each other's humanity, and embrace the diversity of our world. That is our intention today, to create a space where we can share our thoughts, our hopes, our wishes, where we can imagine, as John Lennon wrote, a world with nothing to kill or die for. A world where we can all live in peace. Now, I would like to bring up our first speaker, Sue Deering. Sue is a leader and a mainstay in our village, someone who gives willingly of herself, always ready to serve. Sue's going to be talking about the state of nuclear weapons today and remembering those people that suffer the indignities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Sue Deering.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Mickey. As Mickey just mentioned, this year is the 80th anniversary of the first atomic bomb. The OC Register recently ran 2 articles, and I thought that I would share some of that information with you today. One article by Kurt Snibbe focused on the state of nuclear weapons today. Today's nuclear weapons are much more devastating than the original blast that hit Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. The Hiroshima bomb, nicknamed Little Boy, was airburst 1,900 feet above the city to maximize destruction. 2/3 of the city was destroyed. The population present at that time was approximately 350,000, and 140,000 died from the explosion and from radiation. That bomb had an estimated yield of 15 kilotons. Today's warheads have an estimated yield of 475 kilotons. Today, not only are the individual weapons more devastating, but we have more of them. According to the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientist, the U.S. maintains a stockpile of approximately 3,708 warheads. Some are deployed, some are held in reserve, and some are waiting dismantlement. We're not the only country to have nuclear weapons. Today, thousands of nuclear weapons sit in arsenals around the world, ready to be deployed by aircraft or missile. The Arms Control Association estimates that there are nearly 14,000 such weapons, most of which are held by the US and Russia. Other countries with nuclear weapons are Britain, China, France, India, Israel, and Pakistan. There is some good news. The world has scaled back from the peak of more than 60,000 nuclear weapons. In the late 1980s, South Africa developed nuclear weapons also in the 1980s, but by the end of the decade had dismantled them. So it is possible with the political will. Since 1945, more than 2,000 nuclear explosive tests have been carried out around the world. The positive news is that the US and Russia have not tested any nuclear weapons since 1992. Another article by Andre Mouchard focused on the Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors, known as the Hibakusha, and the current race to preserve their stories so that the world never forgets. These survivors experienced actual nuclear war, not the fictionalized idea of it. Many suffered from it from disease and despair, or both. Many have struggled for decades to explain what they saw and felt to themselves and to the world. They almost universally say that atomic bombs should never be used again, which is why it's so important to preserve their stories and to carry on their fight against nuclear proliferation. A group called Teens for Disarmament and Non-Proliferation is trying to do just that. They are a nonprofit that encourages young people to learn and share the stories of nuclear bomb survivors. In the words of 17-year-old Manon Iwata, one of the co-founders of the group, when they're gone, if we don't remember or listen to them, we'll be closer to repeating what happened. One survivor, Janet Nakakahara, an American citizen from Southern California, was visiting family in Japan at the time of Pearl Harbor, and then not allowed to return to the United States. She was only 11 and living on an island about 60 miles east of Hiroshima. She recalls seeing a flash of light and hearing a deafening thud, after which everyone was outside screaming. They saw a big multicolored cloud that she described as almost pretty. Hours later, thousands of people fleeing Hiroshima landed on the island, and Nakakahara listened to their horror stories. After the war, Nakakahara returned to California, as did many Hibakusha, often fleeing discrimination that they faced in Japan. Today, Los Angeles is believed to have the most Hibakusha outside of Japan. There's a new PBS documentary, Atomic Echoes: Untold Stories of World War II, which shares not only the Hibakusha stories, but also stories of the over 60,000 Americans sent to Hiroshima and Nagasaki to keep the peace. According to one of the documentary creators, in Japan, they're facing the imminent loss of the Hibakusha. So the government has appointed the younger people to serve as what they call memory keepers, to make sure that they pass down their stories in detail. The 2024 Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to Nihon Hidankyo, a grassroots Japanese organization that represents surviving Hibakusha. Jorgen Watney Fridnes, chair of the Norwegian Nobel Committee, told the Associated Press last year that the Hibakusha have sacrificed privacy and chosen to use their costly experience to warn the world of the reality of nuclear weapons. He also said that the award was made as the taboo against the use of nuclear weapons is under pressure. Thank you to concerned citizens for continuing to keep this important issue foremost in our minds.
Thank you, Sue. Our next speaker is Pearl Lee. Not so long after Japan bombed Pearl Harbor and the United States bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Korean War began, and the United States was once again embroiled in war. Our next speaker, Pearl Lee, grew up with the consequences of that war. She speaks today about what peace is to her and wants to know, what is peace to you? Pearl Lee.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Well, just for a moment, we'll move from Japan to Vietnam, because I would like to share some thoughts from Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a beloved Zen master from Vietnam. He has touched countless lives with his profound wisdom and teachings on mindfulness, peace, and love. He said, "Through my love for you, I want to express my love for the whole cosmos, the whole humanity, and all species and earth. This is the real message for love. When another person makes you suffer, it is because he suffers deeply within himself, and his suffering is spilling over. He does not need punishment, he needs help." That's the message he's sending. My actions are my only belongings. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are the ground on which I stand. When you say something really unkind, when you do something in retaliation, your anger increases. You make the other person suffer, and he will try hard to say or to do something back to get relief from his sufferings. That is how conflict escalates. What is peace to you, and what is peace to me? How can I contribute to world peace? Can I really make a difference? When I think about what peace means to me personally, I see peace as an absence of war, absence of violence, and absence of killing. My own life was shaped by the Korean War, a conflict that shattered my family. I was too young to remember all the details, but I grew up with the consequences. I lost my father to that terrible war, and my mother, who was a young aspiring pianist, was forced to give up her dreams in order to survive and to raise two little girls by herself. Because of this, peace has always felt elusive to me. I don't fully understand what peace means because it was taken away from me, stolen by forces I could not even know. I could not even name. But later in my life, I also learned that peace is more than the absence of war or conflicts, but the presence of understanding, respect, and compassion. It is something we must practice every day in the way we speak, in the way we listen, and in the way we care for each other. For me, I try to live peace in small ways through kindness, through respect, and by honoring the dignity of others. These may seem like little things, but I believe these are seeds of peace. And we cannot sit helplessly. However small, in creating a peaceful world, each of us has a role. Let us carry this spirit forwards so we together can build a more peaceful world. Let's make peace our choice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pearl. Our next speaker is Rebecca Aguilar. Rebecca, who is the president of the Laguna Woods Village Community Bridge Builders, is a real force in the village. She's going to be talking about the barriers to peace, those intractable forces, the human choices that can be unmade if we can see the humanity in each other. Let's hear how we can dismantle those walls of division. Rebecca Aguilar.
Thank you so much, Mickey. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Diane, for having me here. It's an honor. So, in my previous life, I covered 2 wars as a journalist, one in El Salvador, the Civil War, and one in Israel in 1973. But today, I'm going to be talking about another phase of peace or war, the one that I have been learning here in Laguna Woods. Thank you for being here, all of you. We, the people. It sounds unifying, it sounds democratic, it sounds beautiful. It is the very first promise of the US Constitution. But here's the paradox. Who exactly is included in we? In 1787, we the people did not mean everyone. It excluded women, it excluded enslaved people, it excluded indigenous nations, and even poor white men without property. So from the beginning, the phrase was powerful, yes, but it was also selective. It drew a sharp line between those who belonged and those who didn't. And that same pattern continues today. Our leaders speak of real Americans versus outsiders, citizens versus immigrants, young versus old, us versus them. And when this us versus them thinking deepens, some even more dangerous happens. We begin to dehumanize the others. What happens when we stop looking at others as humans? History has the answer. Black people are called beasts, Latinos are labeled criminals or rapists, Jews are called vermin or rats, American indigenous people are called savages, etc., etc. Words like these don't just insult, they strip away humanity. They turn neighbors into enemies. They justify exclusions, discrimination, and many times even creates violence. Language is not neutral, my friends. Forget about those silly phrases of sticks and stone, blah, blah, blah. Language can heal, but it can also harm. It can build peace and bridges, or it can fuel instability. And too often, it lays down groundwork for conflict, even war. When we hear the words, we, the people, We must stop and ask, who is in the circle of belonging? Who is left out? And most importantly, who decides? So this leads us to a larger question. What are the barriers that keep us from peace? And this is my personal view of what keeps us. Number one, dehumanization. This is one of the greatest obstacles to peace. When people are reduced to stereotypes or slurs, it becomes easier to justify hatred and violence. Number two, inequality. Peace cannot thrive when whole groups of people are denied opportunity, dignity, or safety. Injustice creates resentment, and resentment breeds instability. Number three, fear and distrust. When we fear those who are, look, or sound different, we close the door to cooperation and trust. Actually, distrust makes it easier for leaders to pit groups against one another to gain power. Number four, historical wounds, slavery, colonization, internment, genocide, etc. These traumas do not disappear. They echo across generations. And unless they are acknowledged and healed, they keep reopening. Number five, finally, a barrier that we rarely name, a lack of dialogue and deep listening. When communities stop listening, when people stop talking across differences, silence gets filled with suspicion, and suspicion leads back to division. Friends, what is our part to play? We must commit and expand the meaning of we. We must humanize the other, seek justice and fairness, and create real spaces for dialogue in order to achieve solidarity with one another. We must face our history with honesty and not erase it so it can and it will repeat itself. Only then can we, the people, live to its fullest democratic promise. Let's approach this agreement with curiosity instead of certainty. Let's make we as wide, as welcoming, and as inclusive as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, we're going to take a break from our speakers, and I would like to introduce to you Mark Hochberg. I don't think he needs an introduction. He plays the piano all over the village. Yeah. And Sharon Rosen, who sings all over the village. Many of you may not know, Sharon used to be a cantor at a temple.
Sure.
And still is. And a cantor, for those of you who may not know, is a person who helps people reach a more spiritual plane through music. And that's what we're going to do today. So, Sharon, take it away.
Wow.
Last night I had the strangest dream I ever dreamed before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. I dreamed I saw a mighty room filled with women and men, and the papers they were signed.
Okay, I'd like to bring up our next speaker, Annie McCary. Now, Annie's going to explore The Invitation, a poem that talks to authenticity, vulnerability, and living in a fully engaged life, which Annie does as part of the African American Heritage Club. Annie McCary.
This poem is called The Invitation, and it is written by Oriah Mountain Dreamer. Dr. Wayne Dyer called this poem The Invitation to the Ultimate Dance. And it goes, it doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for. And if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dreams, for your children, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are scoring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you can be opened by life's betrayal or have become shriveled and closed from fear of future pain. I want to know if you can sit with your pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fake it or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own. If you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you from the tips of your toes all the way down to your fingers, without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is even true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusations of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it's not pretty. Every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. My invitation to you is let's do this dance. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Okay. Our next speaker is Marcia Goldstein, who actually made it here from a trip late last night just to be here. So thank you, Marcia. Marcia has a somewhat different look at peace, coming at peace sideways. Marcia Goldstein.
When I was a little girl, I used to think the world was a peaceful place, and that from time to time war broke out. That would have been World War II. Soon after came the Korean War. I never could have imagined Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. We worried more back then about nuclear annihilation than war, convinced that nuclear war would destroy all life on this planet. Banning the bomb would take care of things. Famine and social unrest were considered a lower order of human dysfunction. Remember Tom Lear's sardonic Merry Minuet? They're rioting in Africa. They're starving in Spain. The whole world is festering with unhappy souls. The French hate the Germans hate the Poles. Italians hate Yugoslav, South Africans hate the Dutch, and I don't like anybody very much. Blair went on to reassure us sarcastically that we won't have to worry about these problems much longer because some lovely day someone will set the spark off and we will all be blown away. Fast forward 60 years. The Spanish are no longer starving, but 700 million people worldwide face hunger, and 2.3 billion are food insecure. France and Germany and 25 other nations put aside enough differences to form a European Union. But Russia invaded Ukraine, starting a war that has lasted, so far, 3 years. Probably 20 other global conflicts are currently active. Civil war, insurgencies, and wars between neighboring countries. We don't get much news about them unless something truly atrocious occurs. Is it time to wise up to the true nature of human existence? It may be that war and conflict are the baseline state on this planet, and that peace breaks out only sometimes and in some places. So what can we do about that? Successful actions address the causes of conflicts, and even religion, ethnicity, territory, resources, economic competition, and even women's hair coverings are some of the things that people are willing to fight over. On top of that, competing interests of the US, Russian, and Chinese spheres fuel conflicts all over the globe. Given all these causes of conflict, would you be surprised to hear me say that the most important solution is to address climate change? No, I have not walked into the wrong meeting. Here's my thinking. We haven't a clue how to fix ethnic, religious, cultural, territory clashes. They go back centuries. But we do know that most land, resource, and economic conflicts have a climate basis. Every news cycle gives evidence of the dramatic effects of global warming around the world. Millions of people are driven from their homes due to heat and drought or hurricanes and flooding. All result in famine and competition for scarce resources. We have seen hateful acts on every continent against migrants, as well as social unrest in the countries they fled, as the remaining people compete with each other for the resources and a means of survival. At home, we are witnessing the unwinding of national stability as our government increasingly pursues violent and illegal actions against migrants. Meanwhile, we already know many ways to address climate problems. Major powers must recognize, or they will soon, that the relentless warming of the planet poses a serious danger to their country's economies and their own political security. The increasing fear of unrest should motivate them to action on the climate front. So my helpful suggestion on this Peace Day is this: let's do something positive. Let's commit to reducing the use of fossil fuels and encourage the adoption of renewable energy. We must demand it from our representatives and work with international partners on this goal. A more livable planet will make a more peaceful world. Meanwhile, let's remember that peace is a hierarchical concept. At the top is international peace, the cessation of wars between countries. Next is societal peace, an end to civil war and conflict within nations. Finally, there is personal peace, the ability to calm our thoughts and emotions and maintain our own internal harmony. While we must never stop fighting to bring peace on the international and societal levels, we should recognize that the only peace over which we actually have control is our own internal peace. So go in peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcia. Our next speaker is Sherry Horn. Sherry is also the mayor of our city council, Laguna Woods. And she's going to be talking about true giving, giving of oneself, another pathway to peace. Sherry Horn.
So thank you, Nikki and Diane and Judy and everyone that put this together. I think greed and anger and the not wanting to compromise on anything are some of the things that lead to war, the desire to have everything for yourself. So this little poem by Khalil Gibran really speaks to me. Then said a rich man, "Speak to us of giving." And he answered, "You give but little when you give of your possessions. It's when you give of yourself that you truly give. For what are your possessions but things you keep and guard for fear you may need them tomorrow? And tomorrow, what does tomorrow bring to the overprudent dog burying bones in the trackless sand as he follows the pilgrims to the holy city? And what is fear of need but need itself? Is not dread of thirst when your well is full, the thirst that's unquenchable? There are those who give little of the much which they have, and they give it for recognition, and their hidden desire makes their gifts unwholesome. And there are those who have little and give it all, and those are the believers in life and the bounty of life, and their coffer is never empty. And there are those who give with joy, and that joy is their reward. There are those who give with pain, and that pain is their baptism. And there are those who give and know not pain in giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give with mindfulness of virtue. They give as in yonder valley the myrtle breathes its fragrance into space. Through the hands of such as these, God speaks, and from behind their eyes, he smiles upon the earth. It's well to give when asked, but it's better to give unasked through understanding. And to the open-handed, the search for one who shall receive is joy greater than giving. And is there aught you would withhold? All you have shall someday be given. Therefore give now, that the season of giving may be yours and not your inheritors. You often say, I would give, but only to the deserving. The trees in your orchard say not so, nor the flocks in your pasture. They give that they may live, for to withhold is to perish. Surely he who is worthy to receive his days and nights is worthy of all else from you. And he who is deserved to drink from the ocean of life deserves to fill his cup from your little stream. And what desert greater shall there be than that which lies in the courage and the confidence, nay, the charity of receiving? And who are you that men should rend their bosom and unveil their pride that you may see their worth naked and their pride unabashed. See first that you yourself deserve to be a giver and an instrument of giving. For in truth, it's life that gives unto life, while you, who deem yourself a giver, are but a witness. And you receivers, and you're all receivers, assume no weight of gratitude, lest you lay a yoke upon yourself and upon him who gives. Rather rise together with the giver on his gift as on wings. For to be over-mindful of your debt is to doubt his generosity, who has the free-hearted earth for mother and God for father.
Thank you, Sharon. Our next speaker is Charlie Redner. Charlie has the heart of a poet because he is a poet, and his poems expand on John Lennon's imagination, where we all may live in peace, along with a stark warning that present world affairs challenge peace everywhere. Charlie Redner.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This first piece was written about 15 years ago, and what shocks me the most is that very few things have changed since then. It's called World Peace Interrupted, and you'll hear me say ring, ring. That's the sound effects that I'm reading to you. And I also had to change John Lennon's birth every 10 years, so bear with me. This is dedicated to Taylor Molly in the land of Gandhi, called World Peace Interrupted. Imagine a poem that pursues world peace. Thanksgiving dinner without arguments. The school playground without a scuffle. Civility returns to the U.S. Congress. Imagine a poem that elevates world peace. Ring, ring. Rappers remove F-bombs from their lyrics. Folsom Prison skinheads play music on the bars. Mississippi Klansmen burn hand-me-down sheets. Imagine a poem that promotes world peace. Machetes melted for dinner plates in Ethiopia. Fights in Thailand or over Pad Thai or Wonsan. Tanks back up in North Korea. Imagine a poem that encourages world peace. The spirit of Gandhi spreads throughout Pakistan. Bomb makers in Karachi bake honey cakes instead. Al-Qaeda begs forgiveness before disbanding. I'm writing a poem to foster world peace. Ring, ring. Gotta answer it. Hello? Lenin would have turned 80 today. Imagine. I already have. Thank you. What separates us? What separates us are oceans and rivers for a start. Mountains and fences us part. Wavy lines on maps, countries defined, where histories may create past enemies of mind. What separates us? Race, religion, and regulations of bevy, cultural and social mores weigh heavy. Language generates a huge divide amongst nations, perhaps confusing simple wants for hurtful condemnations. Sexual orientation provides a reference, but takes effort to abide by another's personal preference. Most earthlings know that all of us must make do upon our diminutive spinning rondure of aqua hue, wandering amid a black void so vast and great that it must be measured by time, not us. Take. Thank you. War no more. Throughout American history, peace is consistently lost to war. Did the colonies realize peace after our revolution? Was 1813 more peaceful than 1812? Did the North or South experience peace following the Civil War? Peace is a moving target, never stationary. World War I produced the war to end all wars. It did not. Hardly had the guns cooled when Roman numeral II erupted in Europe, quickly followed by confrontation exploding in the Pacific. Korea may be called the forgotten war, but hardly by those who fought it. Again, the South fighting the North. It still ain't over. Is geography the enemy of peace? Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq brought peace in name only after political treaties. Peace treaties make quiet cannons, but the natives people left tattered and the battlefields possess very little peace. Some historians claim that there have only been 15 years of peace in the U.S. over the last 249. Can we do better? Looking forward to the next generation, we must always maintain hope, hope, and more hope. And some of us write poems. We write poems because all wars start with words, and all wars end with them. Wars be gone. Poets write on. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. Sharon?
All we are saying is give peace a chance. All we are saying is give peace a chance. Yeah. All we are saying, mean it, is give peace a chance. One voice, mean it. All we are saying is give peace a chance.
Our next speaker, David Deering. David has his own legacy. I think he's participated in at least the last 10 Peace Day tributes. David's going to talk about classical composers who were also concerned about the same age-old question. How do we achieve world peace? Well, I'm going to let David tell you who and how they did that. David Deering.
Thank you very much, Mickey. I think it's 10, and again, it is a privilege to join the Concerned Citizens for Peace Day. I hope I'm invited back. Often when we are looking for peace, maybe even a little peace and quiet, we can turn to classical music. I would like to share with you this afternoon how some of the world's most recognized composers send a message of world peace to their listeners. There are many contemporary songs dedicated to peace: Give Peace a Chance, Peace Train, to name just a couple. Those are probably the most popular, other than the one we just sang, Give Peace a Chance. I would like to share classical music from several different composers. I use the term classical in its broadest sense to remind us that music transcends all ages. As I write this, Johann Sebastian Bach is playing in the background. His B minor Mass, Dona Nobis Pacem, Latin for grant us peace, traditionally appears in the Agnus Dei of the Roman Catholic Mass. Music scholars aren't quite certain what prompted Bach, a Lutheran Protestant minister, to write a full-fledged Catholic Mass. but it is considered by many to be the pinnacle of classical music. The Mass was among Bach's final compositions. Dona Nobis Pacem, a fugue that begins like a prayer, rises steadily to end the work in triumph. Let us turn our attention to Franz Joseph Haydn's Mass in Time of War, written in 1796. Haydn penned this Mass as Austria was preparing for war against Napoleon. So we know that war goes back a long, long, long time. While Haydn never expressed anti-war sentiments regarding the piece, musical scholars have drawn such conclusions, largely because of the agitated nature in the music that was unusual for the composer. A notable performance of the Mass, conducted by Leonard Bernstein, took place in 1973 at an event called A Plea for Peace, organized as an expression of anguish over the Vietnam War. The concert was programmed to coincide at the same night as the inaugural concert at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. There, the Philadelphia Orchestra was performing Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture, which festively celebrates, I knew it was in there, festively celebrates, complete with the famous cannon fire finale, the Russian victory over the same tyrant that had agitated Haydn, Napoleon. Let's look ahead about 200 years at Frank H. Bridges' Piano Sonata. The work marked a major shift in style for the English composer, who until that point had written mostly lighter, more accessible fare. The extended harmony and turbulent energy of the sonata might not denote peace in the traditional sense, but it was the trauma of World War I that prompted Bridge, an ardent pacifist, to compose what he saw as a more meaningful work. The sonata was dedicated to Ernest Farrar, a young composer who lost his life in the war. Bridge died in 1941 before he saw his country prevail over Germany in World War II, but not before he passed along his pacifist ideals to his most famous student, Benjamin Britten. Like his teacher before him, Britten dedicated his massive war requiem to the memory of 4 friends who were victims of World War II. The work intersperses traditional Latin requiem texts with the words of the poet-soldier Wilfred Owen, who wrote about the horrors of war. Gas, boys, gas. The Requiem wasn't Britten's first or last composition to urge the need for peace. As a longtime pacifist and conscientious objector, he had written music in the 1930s for the Peace Pledge Union. Britten continued expressing his peaceful ideas through his music well into the 1960s and early 1970s. As we are currently engaged in war on several fronts and the seemingly endless strife in Gaza, let us do what we can as individuals to promote world peace, or at least try to ease the suffering of those who have been affected by war. And listen to some classical music. Thank you. Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you, David. And yes, you are invited back next year. Our next speaker is Willie Phillips. Willie's the leader of the African American Heritage Club here in the village, and I hope he's not too embarrassed. I believe Willie's got the soul of an angel. Willie Phillips.
I do a lot of writings in the dialect of so-called Black American slaves, sharecroppers, and my great granddaddy and grandmama and them. Every day without fail, I can hear them talking to me like they're doing right now. They were forbidden ever to speak their original languages, and they were beaten or killed if they were caught reading or writing proper American English. So to me, speaking and writing like they spoke is a part of our history, our story, and a very important part of true American history. And it done been written down in my soul with indelible ink. So through my eyes, writing and talking like they did is a way of remembering them. And what they went through. It's a way of honoring them and keeping them, our history, our journey, and our plight relevant. The following is one such writing. A peace pie. I'm hungry. Right about now, a whole peace pie show would be nice. But I ain't gonna lie. I'd settle for a slice right about now. 'Cause I'm tired of seeing all kind of folks moan and cry. I'm tired of seeing innocents, old folks, and little babies die. And little babies die. And little babies die. I'm tired of seeing bombs and missiles busting, looking like lightning bugs all over the sky. Everybody's saying that I can't do nothing about it, but that's a bald-faced lie. Besides, if I don't bring about no change, it sure enough won't be 'cause I didn't even much try. If when I see evil done, and I don't even try to help, my not doing nothing is evil itself. If when you see folks choking because of hate, starving for some love and about to die, give them a piece of your peace pie. If we seeing folk doing folk wrong just cause they can, stand up, speak up, gird up, and go grab them by the hand and hold them and console them and listen to them and be there with them just cause you can. I had done already drunk from the bottle of hate till it emptied me. So I turned up the bottle of love and now it doesn't fill me. I'm tired of all them indigenous going around acting like they equal to us. A whole peace pie or a piece of peace pie. Whole peace pie sure would be nice, but I ain't gonna lie. I'd settle for a little piece of peace pie right about now. I'm hungry, y'all. Iraq, the balls. I ran through the malls. Russia, roulette. Israel, it will make you crane your neck in your career. A bull in a china cabinet will make you tie one on. In Cameroon, Congo, Mali, Ethiopia, and Mozambique, Womack's men ain't never been unique. In Nicaragua, Senegal, Somalia, Gaza, Afghanistan, and in Central America, Palestine, Venezuela, and South Sudan, Right now, they's killing each other over money, sex, power, and land. Right here in America, we's isolating and gender hating, doing racial discrimination. We is profiling and smiling and causing a whole lot of demonstration. Descendants of immigrants are displacing and misplacing folks. It's just plumb disgracing. Someone's talking about no more immigration and global domination. All that means is that we's becoming a much more domination. And we got the nerve to say that we're doing it to bring about peace. Some say that all of them indigenous is dark, dumb, and damned. They say that they ain't like us. So let's make all of them our slaves, or else bury all of them in unmarked graves. Strange fruit. Are y'all listening to me? I don't know about the rest of y'all, but talk like that used to make me cuss. And at one time it made me want to make all of them feel my thrust, or else pull out a whole hog leg and bust. Much as I hate to admit it, they is just like us to varying degrees. We is all dysfunctional human beings. Us killing them and them killing us is war. And war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. A whole peace pie sure would be nice. But I ain't gonna lie, like it or not, we, us, and them together, we're gonna have to make that peace pie whole, slice by slice. Thank you.
Okay, all right. We have one more opportunity for a collective musical experience, as Sharon is going to lead us in John Lennon's Imagine, as Diane Bauman passes out a peace rose to those people who are here today to participate in our performance, our terrific performers. So Diane, please. Sharon, go for it.
Thank you. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do.
everybody here enjoyed our tribute to Peace Day as much as I did. I want to first express my absolute heartfelt gratitude to our performers for their messages. What I heard clearly is dignity, humanity, an invitation to go beyond, and hope. I want to thank Judy Northrup and Diane Bauman for organizing this terrific event. Thank you to our partners, the African American Heritage Club and Laguna Woods Village Community Bridge Builders. Our incredible musicians, Mark Hochberg, Sharon Rosen. Also thank Carol McVeigh, Sue Snyder, and their team for the hospitality we are about to partake. And the artists who thought enough about our theme to share their work here today, which you'll be able to take a look at in a sec. So let me conclude our program with this. Hope is not a suggestion. Rather, it's our ability to work for something because it's good and because it's right. We hoped today to create a collective meditation where our presenters from a variety of ethnic and cultural backgrounds shared their thoughts to encourage us to think more deeply about how we imagine peace to be. I think we did that. Thank you. We invite you now to break bread, rather cookies, with us. Stay, mingle, maybe share a little bit about what you heard and what you feel with the other people here. And may peace be with us all. Thank you.